There is action happening in the Gulf of Mexico on offshore rigs with drilling on federal waters, opening the waters for more oil and gas drilling. But then Wednesday, news of the first offshore wind auction took place. There was going to be a delay on that, we had heard. So to explain all this change is now Professor Emeritus of the LSU Center for Energy Studies, David Dismukes. Welcome. Thanks for being here. First, what do you make of the oil and gas drilling?
Well, it's positive news. As you know, there's been a stall throughout most of this administration on new activity. So for us, it helps put people back to work. It creates new jobs. But it also, continues a revenue source of generation. A lot of the dollars that we get through Go Mesa and other funding sources from the federal government go into environmental and coastal restoration projects. So those are important things that have been at a loss for us during that delay, and it looks like those are picking up.
And did the light maybe turn on with the reality of the war in Ukraine, and that, if the U.S. is not producing this, the other people who are not the ones you want to be producing it?
Right. It's hard to know what the entire motivation is on that. You'd hope that would be part of it. I think part of it had to do with some of the quid pro quos that were traded off during the Inflation Reduction Act passage. Yeah. And probably some of this litigation probably doesn't help matters, at least for the administration from that perspective. So I'm sure some light bulb went off. It may have been a combination of them, but for us, it's a good outcome.
And a compromise, it seems anyway, and it's very good for Louisiana.
It is, and
in the U.S.
It is, and I think and as you mentioned before, it's very good timing, not only because of the war that's going on in Eastern Europe right now, but a lot of major energy companies, as they've set out their capital budgeting plans for the next year, the next 2 years, I think Exxon has done this, Shell, maybe BP as well, they've all talked about increasing investment in opportunities in the Gulf of Mexico. Right. It's an area where they want to earmark that in kind of backing away after getting burned on some of these write-downs that they've had in Eastern Europe and in Russia in particular, bringing those kind of back home to more stable environments. So it's a good timing for us. Hopefully it'll carry through. There won't be delays. There won't be lawsuits. The environmental review process won't be unnecessarily long. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
With the fast track of this new oil and gas drilling, there was said to be a delay in the wind energy, but that's not happened this week because the auction, they've already begun that process now.
Yeah, it was a big surprise seeing that this morning or today. We'll see where that goes. There are 3 blocks, I believe, that are going to be up. 1 offshore from Lake Charles and then 2 off of Galveston.
Right. Mm-hmm. Same places that we had seen before.
Right. So it's a unique opportunity to be first to the Gulf. It's kind of a mixed bag right now. It's both a good time and a bad time for offshore wind. There have been a lot of challenges in the industry right now, particularly with projects along the eastern seaboard and just big capital projects in general. As you can imagine, when you've got really high interest rates and higher cost of financing, the uncertainty of that with not knowing where the Federal Reserve is going to go. I mean, you watch the stock market the last few days, and I think we're going to continue to see that kind of volatility. It creates a big macroeconomic overhang on big projects like this. But it's very encouraging to see that moving. The public sale notice has gone out. I think they're going to be offering comments on that. I think the administration, from what it appears, is going to be looking at tying some provisions, particularly with local content and other things, into the sale. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
The building time of getting construction, the erection of these very tall turbines, which I didn't realize some of them are 750 feet tall. These are huge structures in the Gulf, but before that would be even operating to help with energy. Is that years away?
Yeah, it's going to probably be some years away. A lot of developers are prioritizing the projects that are on the eastern seaboard. It'll be interesting to see what this interest is. It's a bit of a mixed bag. New York just had an open solicitation the last several months, and it had pretty good response rate despite the fact that we've got these challenges. It'll be interesting to see how this one comes out, how what the royalty payments are going to be on the leases themselves. A lot of those Atlantic seaboard leases went for considerable amounts of money. Yeah. So it's a big investment you don't want to leave sitting around and not operating on. But these are unique structures, as you've noted. High technology, handful of people that make these things. Yeah. And they lend themselves even more than, say, normal manufacturing activities to supply chain challenges. And we're already starting to see that with some of the developments right now. So again, it's kind of a mixed bag right now. We'll just have to see how it all plays out.
All right, and at least there's been some harmony on both sides and maybe a compromise, so both will move forward. But it's a good thing that the oil and gas is too for us.
Yep, it's good for us. It's good for labor force development in Louisiana, and really continuing that, moving on in this next era with offshore wind.
David, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.